Hey guys!
Welcome to Mexi Philly!
I am Mexican.
And I am Filipino.
Even though I'm wearing this Mexican shirt, but I am Mexican. Okay guys, so we decided to make this video for you. For those who are trying to get married to a Mexican or to a Filipina in Mexico. We hope that this video helps you to get all the information, all the documents that you need, because for us it was kind of difficult because as you can see, or maybe as you can, maybe you already started looking on internet, there's no many information. And even if you call the embassy or the government, they don't give you all this information, so we want to give it for you.
And especially as a foreigner, so this is not only for Filipinos getting married to Mexicans, this is for all foreigners who want to get married to Mexicans in Mexico. So especially for foreigners who do not speak Mexican, I'm Spanish. Okay, I'm so sorry, oh my goodness. Yeah, for those foreigners who do not speak Spanish, all the information that the government provides is in Spanish. And so hopefully this video will be helpful to a lot of international couples who want to get married to here in Mexico, to a Mexican.
Okay, so what we recommend you first to get the exact requirements is to check on your local civil registry office, because it can depend from state. For example, we got married in the state of Mexico, Estado de Mexico, Registro Civil, but this can change the requirements. So we'll give you the requirements that are in general for those who try to get married in Mexico. Maybe it's going to be the same. Okay?
Yeah. Alright, so I'll say number one, a birth certificate. Okay, can you please tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. This maybe is one of the most important documents, one of the most that we struggled to get. Because for me as Mexican, it's easy. You can get your birth certificate online, there's no problem, but for Filipinos, just as my wife was telling you, here in Mexico, all the requirements, all the documents needs to be translated in Spanish. So what we did is to ask the DFA, the Department of Foreign Affairs, to apostille your birth certificate.
Let me just define what apostille is. It is like to verify, to certify that this is a legal document. So I am Filipino, so I got my birth certificate, of course, from the Philippines, and as part of the requirements from the Mexican side, Mexican government, they needed me to have my document verify that this is original, that this is real, and later on, when they put the stamp on it that my certificate was real, the DFA, Department of Foreign Affairs from the country did that. My husband, at that time fiance, right? So at that time, he had to have my documents translated into Spanish by an official translator. So you really need someone who is official, not just any friend who knows how to speak Spanish. All right, so everything, just like what he said, everything needs to be in Spanish.
Yeah, so fortunately our civil registry had the options to send us to a government office where they have these official translators. But this took almost 1 month, right? So we hope that you take that into consideration, that it can be really long until you get your document translated to Spanish.
What we really recommend is, even if you are not yet in Mexico, let's say you're in a long distance relationship, which we were. I was in Florida. Of course, I'm Filipino, but I was in Florida and he was already, of course, living in Mexico. He's Mexican. But I had my documents sent from the Philippines by my parents. It was apostilled. Is it called apostilled? Yes. Verified, stamped by the DFA. And my parents sent it directly to Mexico. We do not recommend you bringing your documents, your birth certificate with you when you enter Mexico, because especially as a Filipino, when you have the USA visa, which I have, I can enter Mexico as a tourist. And so when you arrive in Mexico at the airport, the immigration might decline or like reject you or like not let you in the country if you have these documents, because your purpose is to be a tourist. So we don't want you bringing important documents if you want to get married. Of course, you can legally get married, but you will have to have your documents sent to your Mexican partner so that when you are in Mexico, you can already start applying for the marriage certificate. make it.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to make a video about that. What are the requirements for Filipinos traveling to Mexico? That's going to be another video. But yeah, just my wife was sharing this is a really helpful tip. Don't travel with your documents. If possible, send these documents by FedEx, UPS, so your partner can get these documents and you travel without any problems.
And your partner can start processing the documents even when you are still far away.
Yeah, that's what I did. My wife's parents, they sent me this document. I received it in like 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, and I started processing the documents already. So by the time that my wife arrived, it was already translated.
Yes, right. And especially if you're planning a big wedding, of course you can get married at the local civil registry, but if you want to get married in another venue, then it's really important to, you know, to see what your timeline looks like. You don't want to be in a rush because your documents are not yet translated. Again, it takes about 1 month.
Yeah, so the second requirement to get married in Mexico is the multiple immigration form. This is in Spanish, Formato Migratorio Múltiple or Forma Migratoria Múltiple. This is a document that they give to any foreigner trying to travel to Mexico by plane. So make sure to don't lose this document because this is very important. This is essential not only to get married but also to being able to travel inside Mexico, and they ask you for a lot of documents. Filipinos are able to stay 180 days, which are 6 months in total in Mexico without any visa. Of course, this is an exception. It only applies to Filipinos that have American, Japanese or UK visa.
Not just any Filipino can enter Mexico. For those Filipinos who do not have visas from those countries that my husband mentioned, you will have to apply for a visa to enter Mexico. You can't just buy a ticket and then come here again. That will be another video, separate video.
But if you are able to enter to Mexico as a tourist, they will give this format, so make sure to don't lose it. It also says how many days you are able to stay in Mexico. So take that into consideration, especially we don't want you to get in a rush. So travel time 6 months, I think it's enough to process all the documents. But yeah, just take that time into consideration.
That is true. And don't just think that when you enter Mexico, you already have 6 months automatically. Check your document. Maybe they can give you less than 6 months. But again, the maximum is 6 months.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Then the third document that you need that is required is your passport. All right, both yours and your partner's passports. And I think my husband can say more about that.
Yeah, and the passport is especially for the foreigner part, but as a Mexican, you can also give your passport or any official ID. In Mexico, the most common ID is INE or IFE, which is the ID we use to vote in Mexico, so that's enough. Also, they will ask you, as a Mexican, only a copy of your CURP. CURP is a number, a combination of numbers and letters that it helps you to identify Mexicans from other Mexicans. So that's one of also the requirements. Also, it's important to mention that if your partner or you are divorced or widow, you need to present a certificate of divorce or widow. And if you have children under age, you need to present a birth certificate of each children. And one important thing that we need to mention is that below 18 years old, you cannot get married in Mexico because 18 years old is our legal age in Mexico.
I think that's the legal age in the Philippines as well. All right, so document number 4. I thought this was not required, but it actually is. When we went to the local registry, I saw my husband submitting this. I'm like, oh, okay, he's extra careful, but actually it really is part of the document. And that is, number 4 is the map of the location where you will get married. So you will have to tell the local civil registry where, what day, what time, of course, like everything that entails your wedding, because the judge will be there to officiate your wedding to make it legal, right? So again, of course, I mentioned this, you can get married in the local civil registry, but if you want it to be another place, then you will be required to print a map of your venue so that the judge will not get lost. He will be there, he's very punctual, right? So you want him to know where it is. And yeah, that's that.
And of course, just as my boss was sharing, you can marry in the local registry office, but if you want to marry in another location, you will need to pay an extra fee. We will put it right here. This is the price in the state of Mexico. That depends in every state, but this is what we pay. Okay, so once you got all these entire list of documents, you need to present this to the civil registry office. What they will give you is they will give you a marriage request format and a prenuptial medical test format. These documents are very important because the way you write the names on the request format, it will exactly appear on the certificate of marriage. It's very important to fill the marriage request in the correct order of the names. For example, for Mexicans, we don't have any problem because we have our given names, then it's followed by our father's last name, then our mother's last name. So every document in Mexico is like that, but for Filipinos, this...
Yeah, in the Philippines, ours is the opposite. I don't know about other nations, but in the Philippines, we have a given name, middle name, and last name. Alright, so our given name, maiden name, and last name. But here in Mexico, their middle name and surname is interchanged. So that's why I had a big problem when I was processing my visa, and that will be for another video, how to process your visa or like your temporary residency here in Mexico after getting married. That's a separate video. So if you are Filipino, we really need you to be specific in following the order of writing your names in Mexico because they are very, very detailed and specific in this. So again, if you are Filipino or if you're any other name, if you have any other nationality, please remember to first write your given name, your surname, and then your middle name. I know for us Filipinos, middle name goes in the middle, not in the last. But here in Mexico, their middle name goes in the last part. So again, given name, surname, middle name. Alright, so remember that order when you write your document so that you don't have any problems.
And this order is also important for the prenuptial medical test because it has to be also in the same order. So what we did is we went to a laboratory that is called Digna. We will put the address here. It's very affordable, it's very cheap. They took our laboratory test in the morning and the next day they were already done. We already had the results and it's a full package. It includes everything that they ask you, which is blood type, HIV, BVRL. So that's all essential that they require for you. So also please make sure to write the correct order in your prenuptial medical test. And most of the laboratories, they will ask you a picture for an ID and also picture, because they will put the picture on the results of the exam because it's a legal document.
Alright, so once you have submitted all of these documents and you have made an appointment with a judge, and he will be there to do the civil wedding, and after the civil wedding he would give right away the certificate of marriage. So right away, on the same day, on the spot, right? So after you say your I do's, after you sign the documents in front of the judge, and if you have guests in front of them, the witnesses as well, you will sign the documents, you will put your thumbprint, and then the judge will congratulate you for being a married couple legally. Right there and then he will give you the copy, and then he will go and leave because he will need to attend to other weddings. It's not like in the Philippines where they stay for the whole event, right? There's gonna be a civil wedding before the actual wedding ceremony. Alright, so this marriage certificate is what you need for you as a foreigner to apply for a temporary resident visa, alright, for you to have that temporary resident visa. And after 2 years, you will be able to change and apply for a permanent visa. So right now, I already have the temporary resident visa for 2 years, and we are going to show you how in another video, alright? So congratulations to you for being able to collect all of these different information that we wish we had before we got married, because it's very stressful going through different articles in Espanol. It's not very friendly to foreigners. So I'm glad my partner here is very good in both English and Spanish.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of research. I had to do multiple times to the civil registry. I had to make a lot of calls to the judge, to government offices to get all this information. So I hope that this video is helpful for you, so you can get all the documents that you need to get married in Mexico. Just remember that this was our case in the state of Mexico, Estado de Mexico, but some of the requirements they can change. For example, in some states they ask you to get 4 witnesses that will sign also the certificate of marriage. In our case, was not necessary, but that's why we recommend. The first thing you need to do is ask the requirements directly in your local civil registry office.
And we hope for the best for you. Congratulations, and God bless on your upcoming wedding.
See you!
See you! On the next video, we're going to explain again how to get your temporary resident visa, so catch us over there. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. This will really help a lot in our channel. We want to help more couples get to have more information and how to come to Mexico, get married, and become a legal resident. Right? We love you! See you! Bye!
See you, bye!